every nonprofit is just a silo to themselves instead of having a nonprofit meeting where everybody that has a nonprofit sit down and talk about how can we support each other, and is there a grant that we can all go in on together to show. A lot of these foundations will say, I want to give you money, but I don't know if that's the best focus of doing it. But if everybody is supporting that same effort along with our municipal government, our county government, and everyone, they'll say, oh, now that's a community that'll support this project and they'll get the biggest impact out of it. That's what we got to start doing. We got to sit at the table together. And right now, everyone does their own thing and everybody's trying to get credit for what they do. Please, if you want to put your name on it, put your name on it. Can we get it done? That's what's more important. Right. Do we get it done? Absolutely. And somebody asked me before, why am I doing it? It's kind of a twofold question. It's really an in-depth question, but on the surface, if I gave really the easiest, honest answer, I'm volunteering to try to make this community better and help young people to run it, because I'm getting up in age where I want somebody to help take care of me soon. And if I don't start helping other people or younger people take over certain roles, who's going to be there to do it? And we get to that age where you can't do it. Right. I mean, I'll be 66 this year. So I'm like, 20 years go by real fast and things slow down. And when it slows down, you got to have people in place who run your city, control your city, develop your city, build your city. I want to be able to come down at a certain age and just sit down at a little coffee cafe, drink my coffee, talk to folks, get me something to eat, head back home. That's it. And I want to have a community that looks good, that's developed when I do it.
Right. And safe.
And safe. Absolutely.
We already recording, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I was just about to say,
okay,
who's
cool.
the man behind the words? Introduce yourself.
Okay.
All right. That's what I'm finna do. Welcome to Black Hole Experience. Y'all see what we're talking about. We're going to be touching on different topics, financial literacy, grants, grant rights, things like that. And it's a fortunate thing that we're able to sit down with Mr. Donald Bennett and get insight from him. So I'm just going to get out the way and let you guys meet the man.
Well, I'm Donald Bennett, board president of Main Street Marion. I am the chairman of the board of Perry County Airport and Industrial Authority. I'm also on the steering committee for Sweet Trails, Alabama. I'm a board member of Marion Military Institute, the Perry County Economic Developer through the Alabama Commerce Department Rural Division. I work with the Conservation Fund in trying to bring resources and development to Perry Lakes Park to try to redevelop that to make it accessible and developed for everybody to use as a resource for outdoor activities and bringing children and families together. We're looking at through the Sweet Trails, Alabama, looking at putting in a walking and biking trail, and we have the money committed that would allow us to do a feasibility study to run that walking and biking trail from Selma to Marion, Marion to Greensboro, and on to New Bern. And this will provide an economic impact, because if you have a walking and biking trail, just think, you could do bike rentals, you could do concessions along the way, food trucks. It makes it easy and accessible to intertwine the communities and make it a regional access point for everyone. So those are some of the things that we're working on. And once we start really getting into it, we can talk about, well, all these things that I say I have a title for sounds great, but what does that mean? What do I actually do? And each one of them, I got involved not because I didn't have anything to do. I got involved because each one of them are part of a puzzle that's being put together to say it ties in with the rest. So at the airport, chairman of the board, well, what does an airport do? Well, if you develop your airport, it's a 500-acre site. If you develop that airport as it should be, which I've been working on, I took on that role as chairman in November of 2020. It was in had a lot of financial difficulty, let me put it that way. They owed a lot of money. They owed creditors. They owed banks. They didn't have the money to pay it back. And so we had to take all kind of measures to get that worked out. So now I could say we're at the standpoint that airport is ready to contribute to the overall economy. We applied for a seeds grant, which is Site Evaluation for Economic Development Strategies, and that's through the Commerce Department of Alabama. And what we would do with the proceeds, it's to do an assessment. That's just the assessment grant, and that would allow an environmental study to determine what type of industry could be served at that airfield. Now, once we determine what could come out there, now the next grant we can apply for is an actual development grant. So could we get some industry? Could we get a distribution center? Could we do hangar maintenance, a maintenance facility where we could hire mechanics that work on aircrafts? Could we extend that runway some more and get military contracts and have more military flights coming out there, and you sell fuel? All of those things add to your local economy and create jobs, and it contributes to your overall economy. And could it be expanded so you have more of that activity that goes on at the airfield? Those are the things in the position we're trying to get the airfield into. And just think, once you start having people at the airfield, you need to feed them. So could it create jobs by restaurants? First, I believe you do the food trucks. You find out when people are out there the most. We're doing the pilot training, partnering with Marion Military Institute. They do a pilot training at the airfield, and you have the pilots out there and they're doing their touch and go training, and they're out there learning, but they need food. So you can have a food truck come when you have the students out there, and so it's creating jobs in the economy as well. So that's just one aspect of it, talking about the airfield. Now, coming downtown with Main Street Marion, we've been involved in a number of things trying to create the foundation or the infrastructure of jobs. And how do you do it? One, we receive money from the USDA, and we took that grant that we received from them and created a revolving loan fund. And so what that meant was we received $150,000 from USDA. We took $150,000 and created a loan package for businesses in town that couldn't typically get a loan from a standard bank. They may say, whatever the reason may be, they may not have been able to qualify for it, or it might have been a higher interest rate. We provided each one of them a loan, please forgive me, but I know it was not more than 3%. And we provided them those loans so they could hire people, retain their staff, buy inventory, fix up their buildings, whatever it would need, market, promote. They used the funds that they borrowed from us and that they're paying us back with to promote their business so they can be more sustainable within the community. That's what we mean by providing services to your community. Now, one of the questions that might be asked of that $150,000, how do we know that it went to the people in the community? Well, we don't give the names of the people in the community, but we do have documentation, which we would have no problem showing where that money went. All 150,000, not 149,999. It didn't go in anyone's pockets except the community. Now, me being the board president of Main Street and a business owner, I would have loved to participate in that loan to say, I need money to put into the businesses that my wife and I invested in the community. We own an Airbnb. She has a bookstore. I'm getting ready to own a pizza restaurant. I would have loved to take part of that loan package as well, but it wouldn't look good. So no, I didn't touch it. I wouldn't even be a part of it. It went to everyone else. And everything that we do is completely 100% voluntary. We don't have a salary. We only have one employee for Main Street program, and that's our executive director. Everyone else is volunteering their time because they're committed. We're committed to the community, and that's what we're doing. This building here, it's sat empty since 2013, I believe it was, when it was vacated. The previous business operated out of here was a retail establishment, and the Harris family, and they operated for 103 years continuously here in Marion. And when they closed down, things have changed. Foot traffic had died off, and people start buying a lot of their clothing merchandise online. And so at that point, they determined it was probably best for them to close their business, but it just sat dormant. And the building was just going empty. And what happens when a building is empty? It starts wearing down and it deteriorates. And so we saw the importance of retaining a business like this. We talked to the bank. Marion Community Bank has been a strong supporter of our program, and they have shown us by one, they had previously given us donations to keep our program going. At the same time, when I talked to them about this building, the bank manager at the time, he looked at this building, and we told him what we wanted to do, and we were going to work out a sale of the building. And they said, we're going to gift you the building because we know it's going to be used in the community. I think that's a commitment, and it's a strong commitment. So they put support behind their words, and we really appreciate it.
Shouts out to Marion Bank.
And so we said, with that type of focus, let's get with some other foundations. We coordinated and connected with Innovate Alabama. You see their sticker on the wall over there. Tremendous company. Their foundation. They're trying to help communities like ours get innovation into those communities. And so through their grant, they gave us $125,000 in a grant. But I took that money, or our board, we took that money and we said, let's find the contractors that would understand what our vision is. And we found a contractor that, with that little bit of money, and with another group called E-Footprints, they came in and they did all of the computer technology. We have high-speed broadband internet capability in this building. We have 1 gig of speed. In this facility right here, we have more capability than some small rural towns in Alabama right out of this building. We can accommodate probably up to about 1,000 computers at one time without it slowing down. So we're trying to provide that service so we could start having technologies and training and support our school system. So if we ever had a problem with internet, or some people don't have good internet at home, they could come into this building, sign on to the internet, and do their homework and have studies and bring in people that can help train. And we've been doing some digital banking classes and upgrades. And so it takes time to build this, but we've done it. And so we have the capability with the digital aspect of it, but we had to put in all new wiring in this building, all new plumbing in this building. We completely gutted this building out, and as you see, we redesigned it, put in new lights, and we start building these. These are going to be building or business startups, incubators. And so we're still building it out, but each one of them would be able to be rented out to someone that wants to start up their business. And we're not looking to gouge people. We want them to be able to start up a business, make some revenue, so as they build their business, then they can move out into a brick and mortar and operate their own business. Then we could bring in a new business, another new one in, and do the same thing and continue to rotate it. Those are our focuses out of some of those. But at the same time, when you're trying to build business and you're trying to build the airport for industry, well, you got to have places for people to eat and enjoy themselves. And so if we could start getting eateries and restaurants and nice, comfortable places to sit down. I've talked to the new police chief that we have here. She understands what we're trying to do, and she wants to work with us to try to put that type of environment together where you feel safe, feel comfortable, you're walking around, you're enjoying yourself, and you have those activities. So when people, even in our surrounding area, they'll hear about Marion and say, that's where I want to go. I want to visit Marion. I enjoyed myself when I went. I went down for a family reunion, and I walked around the downtown, and I got some good food. We sat down, we talked. In the summertime, they had some activities, some live entertainment. Those are the type of things that we can do in this town to really enjoy ourselves and say, this is a community, not just individuals walking around, but a community that know each other,
Right.
and get to know each other.
Right.
So that's what we're about in that aspect. But now I've talked a lot, but I want some questions because I'm an open book. I just like people to know who I am, and it's more than just volunteering for these different associations and all these places I work at. I'm a person. I'm a family man. I raised a family. I'm retired. I worked at Delta Airlines for 25 years. My wife worked there for 25 years. We've known each other a lot longer than that. We've been together for 50 years. I've been married. This year will be 44 years. Been married. I have two children. My daughter is 42. My son is 38. They both live in Michigan. I have 5 grandkids. Um, I'm a family man, but I'm an open book, and I want people to know me.
Book is open. Oh, so you got a question? All the questions that I was gonna ask. So yeah.
I was gonna say, do you see business as important as family? And if you do, how do you break that down in your head? Like, how important is business and how important is family?
Oh, that's a really good question because they go hand in hand. And you have to have, even your family can be a business itself in the way that you respond to one another and how you grow together. Because if you, within the family dynamic, if you talk about business, then you train each other. So when you do open up an establishment or you're working in an establishment, it's how people perceive you. People want to get good service whenever you come into a business. That's one of the things that we look at. So we need to be trained at home to be that good business person. So now if I'm a business owner and just example, if my daughter was an employee of mine or a business partner of mine, I want to make sure that she would be able to provide the exact level of service that I'm going to provide them. And if we talk that out when we're at home and we're a family, then we can make sure that we provide that. And that's how we grow it together and have those same visions and share those visions. And I think there's a lot of people in the community that I would look at as they're a family as well. And so these family members in the community need to be business minded as well. And so that's why we're saying we want to be able to bring in professionals that can give financial literacy, grant writing training, training on how to open a business, business plans, how to write a business plan, how to present that business plan, how to handle your finances, banking, digital banking, how do I do my banking even using my phones now? All of those things that we need, we should be looking at as an entire community and looking at our community as a family. Because the better we treat each other, the better other people treat us as well.
I must agree. Mr. Evans?
Well, you spoke earlier, beginning, you spoke of grants.
Yes.
Most grants, how does one go about finding grants?
That is probably the most difficult part about grants there is. And that's a good question, though, because a lot of people think that when they hear grants, you just open up a book, grab a grant off the shelf, and I start filling it out, and I apply, I get money. It's a very tedious process. And I had taken a grant writing class at the University of Alabama, and one of the things that they train you when you get ready to write grants, you have to do research. Find out something about the person you're writing the grant to, because there are certain things that people give money for. And if you're writing a grant for downtown redevelopment infrastructure, but their focus is on they want to have pets that are taken care of. Well, why are you writing this grant for that purpose? Find out something that is close to their heart and making sure. So if there's some grants, like there's a T-Mobile grant, a hometown renovation redevelopment grant. Well, that seems like that falls right within our wheelhouse of what we're trying to do downtown. We're trying to redevelop our downtown and provide money in structure, buildings, fixing up some of the planters downtown and so forth. Well, we would write that grant with that. But you have to look at certain grants and do your research to find out when they open, when they close. They don't all open at the same time. They don't all close at the same time. And so you just have to go on certain websites and look them up. And I would say just start looking up some of the different grant foundations and individual organizations that give out grant funding. Some of them might be $1,000. Some of them might be 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. But the more you're asking for, you typically, the more difficult that grant is. And they ask for a lot of information, and especially if you're applying for government grants that really give you the type of money, like that USDA grant. When we got finished with it, we needed a vacation. We were tired. I mean, there's a lot of information they ask for, and you have to be able to have that information, but you have to have all of your paperwork together. You have to be a 501c3. You have to have your SAM registration, which is a system award management system, and you have to do that and make sure you're in that system. And then they do their background checks on you to make sure that you are doing what you say you're going to do, or you are who you say you are. And so it alleviates a lot of that. You're being vetted, and they want to make sure that the grant would be taken care of appropriately. And when you do that, and when you receive a grant, that's when the work starts.
Right.
And that's when it really should start, because you get grants in, follow the paperwork and their guidelines as they're asking. And when a lot of people say, yeah, well, how do we know that the money was spent as you said it was? Well, if you show them how it was supposed to be spent, because it's invoices. They don't just say, oh, you got this money. Here's the money. No. Once you get awarded the grant, you have to provide them invoices for what was done, and then you apply for that portion of the money. You send that in, then they send you the money for that. Then you send the next invoices for the rest of it, and it's usually about 3 stages. And when you do that, all of it was spent. And so you can show people, well, here's the invoices for all of the work and all of the contractors that were hired, and that number should add up to this number.
Right.
Simple. And if you keep up with your paperwork, I say paperwork, but come on, we're in an age in digital technology. It should be a press of a button. If you put the information in and people want that support, they want to say, well, what did you do with the money? Hold on a minute. Get a print. Let me give it to you. You can go ahead and review it. That's how I feel about it. Our organization is one where we want to be able to say, if you would like to see what's going on, that's why we hired someone as a treasurer. Would hire them, but they volunteered, but they are an accountant, and they keep up with everything that we spend and the money where it was spent. So we can account for what grants we put in for, and you can see it. One of the things that Main Street focused on, and we made sure, we said, when we receive funding, we want to give something tangible where the public can see something out of it. If I'm telling you we got money and we got grants that were awarded, and every time we tell you we got a grant awarded, but you don't see anything, well, what have they done? Well, what's the purpose? What are we here for? So we do things that are tangible. You'll see us out here, we're digging up these flower beds, and you see us putting flowers in and hanging baskets and renovating buildings and cleaning up different gardens around town. Those take resources, and that you can see the money where it's going. And that's how we try to make sure we put those investments in where it is. Our nonprofit is not one that's trying to build money, to save money in the bank. That's not what our nonprofit is. Our nonprofit is established to be able to make sure we can pay our executive director and spend every nickel in the community where you can see it. That's my goal. I don't want to have a big bank account for a nonprofit for the purposes of what? That just tempts people, I would think. I would say, no, if we have it coming in, buy some flower pots, buy some trash cans,
Absolutely.
buy some garbage bags, fix up a building, get an HVAC system put in your facility. We have a brand new HVAC system. Like I said, we have all brand new wiring in this building. We spent the money where it needs to be spent so the community can come in and they can enjoy it. And so that's where we really need to go. And so when we start talking about these things, of course, it leads into other things. So you start saying, well, education. Are we getting the top education that we should in this area? I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. I'm not an educator. But I'm thinking that there's a way that it could be supported more, not only just by the school system or the state, but by the community itself. How do we get involved to make sure we can help support our school system? Because we should all have skin in the game to make sure our kids are getting the premier education they can so we can bring industry in. Because when I'm trying to bring industry in, one of the things they always ask about is, how many people do you have in the school, K through 12, and they want to know about the graduating levels, and then they want to know, are they trainable? That's what they ask. They want to know, are they trainable for our industry? Are they prepared to come into this industry? Working in commerce, doing the things that I've been working on, trying to get industry here, because we listed our airport as one of the sites. It's an EDPA site, which is Economic Development Partnership of Alabama. And by listing the site we had at the airport on that site, it opens it up to all industries of saying, if you word it the way it should be, they look at it and say, is that a potential site where I may want to put an industry or a business? And it starts getting the attention of Marion. And because we had that site listed, all of a sudden I get a phone call, well, an email. It was about a month ago. And it was a young lady who had sent me some information and said, from what I understand, you had a former foundry in Marion. I said, yes, we did. I said, well, I have a client who may be interested in bringing a manufacturing company here. So I just sent the information that I had, and I contacted the mayor, and he provided me with some details that I needed. I uploaded the information, and I sent it off to her. And I'm waiting to hear something back. She said, thank you so much. I'm forwarding this on to my client, and who knows, we'll see what happens. And those are the type of things, if you at least present the possibilities or the potential, industries will start looking, because everyone, it might be a company halfway across the world. They don't know that Marion exists. But if they can go on a site and looking for something with manufacturing, they might say, wait a minute, maybe we might want to put a company there that would fit what we're looking for. So the potential is there. So as long as we're putting it out there and making ourselves available and not right off the cuff saying, nobody wants to come here, they're not going to bring manufacturing. Who are you to make that determination? I say open it up, give them the chance to tell me after they researched it, well, it didn't fit, but it might fit. So let's try to reach out to everyone that we possibly can to bring in industry, to have some jobs where people can have a decent wage, not just a job, but build a career, make a decent wage. I want to be able to say, or young people say, well, I want to stay here. I don't want to move. My family is here. But if I had a decent job and I live in a community that I enjoy, I can stay home and I can visit my family. I don't have to move away. We can retain, as I call it, our young people, our talent. Retain our talent here. Build that talent here. And then we have a community that's just going to take off that everybody wants to come to. And then all those other things fall right on top of that, housing and whatever else you want. Those things, that's how they come. A lot of people say, well, how come they don't bring a fast food restaurant? That's not, government doesn't go pick a fast food restaurant and say, come here. Right. They build your community and make it appealing to a fast food restaurant to come there and invest in. It's about them making a profit. If they don't feel as though they can make a profit, they're not going to look at you. So if you have a safe environment and we have an economy that where people are making enough money, spendable income, they would say, we want to be in that community because they have enough income that could support us making money. And that's what we're trying to build. That's what's needed here.
Definitely.
I know I agree with you, what you stated completely. In one of our meetings we've had, we spoke on franchising. Would that be something you would recommend to anyone just out of the blue?
I would say franchising is definitely something that would be a financial benefit to any business. They would love to do that. But you have to build a brand. You have to build your business to where it could be duplicated. So if you have a business, I'm getting ready to open up a pizza restaurant across the street. I definitely have studied the model of Little Caesars and Domino's to say, how did they do it? How did they build that business? They started with that one and they ran one heck of a business by making sure that they took care of their customers, they took care of growing, but the name alone, and they say, I got a good product and the service was impeccable.
Name in the system that says.
Absolutely. And so once you do that, then absolutely branching out and to say franchise it, if if you have a good product and it tastes good and people want it, and it's just not with food, it could be in multiple businesses, but if you offer a very good service, franchising it is the way for you to make money and spread it around. But that's a lot more that everyone has to learn about. And we would love to have a facility like this here where you can give that training and learn about those things. Because as I tell people, I am not a perfect person. I'm going to make some mistakes, and I know it. I have no problem with that. But I can't make a mistake if I don't do anything.
Right.
I'd rather do something than make a mistake than just sit back. Like I said, I worked at Delta Airlines for 25 years. I was in customer service. And there was a time when I remember a particular customer, he came in and he had a high level golf tournament that he was going to that afternoon. And we lost his golf clubs. And I'm like, well, he's not happy. I know my director I work for is not going to be happy.
Right.
And at that level, they gave us a credit card. It was an American Express. There was no limit on it. I went to the PGA store, which was in the airport terminal, and bought that customer a golf bag of golf clubs that he needed. Now, would I have done that to just every customer that came in? No, but when I looked in the background of this gentleman, he was one of those persons that I think they spent at least $1 million a year on flight tickets. Am I going to have him leave upset? We went and bought those golf clubs. Vice President called me in that next day because I spent quite a bit. And he thanked me so much for making a decision. He said, right or wrong, you made a decision.
Absolutely.
But you made the right choice in this case. You did your homework, you evaluated, you found out, and I thank you for doing it. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I mean in this community. We need somebody that looks at certain situations, make a decision, tell everyone what you did, and we'll evaluate it later. But make a decision. Do something. Don't just get there. Don't sit there all the time and expect things to get better when you haven't done anything to make it better.
Taking any type of initiative.
No initiative. What have you done? Ask some people around here, what was their involvement? Have they even entered into to work with me to try to help develop that airfield? Potential for growth, development. What steps have you taken to help in any of that? Have you even sat down with me to find out how are you doing in the tech hub and how can we partner to make sure that represents the area that we live in, work in, and want to see grow? If you care about the community, have you tried to partner?
Absolutely, because I know once we got together and we figured out what you were doing, that was something we quickly jumped on, making
Wonderful.
sure we partnered together.
And what did I tell you? I want to work with you, and I want you to shadow when I meet with certain people so you can learn about some of those grants I'm talking about. I want you to sit down with me or representatives of your group just to come with me so you can see how I do it, so you can learn how I do it. So you'll be doing it yourself, and I can help give you some instructions on what I do when I meet these people, why I'm doing what I do, and then you might get engaged into it and start your own consulting firm one day saying, I can help this community get grants, develop areas, whatever it is. But I want people in this community to learn about that. Knowledge that is shared is best when more people know how to do what you do. I was also told, I have a ton of stories now. I'm sorry, I can keep you here all day. But I reported into a new director that I work for, and he said to me, he said, I want you to train your staff to work you out of a job. I thought he lost his mind. I'm like, yeah, right. But I was young, but it was a reason for that. But I did. I was training my staff, and my supervisors knew everything, how to do my job as I did. It made my job so much easier because things that I was trying to get accomplished, they knew how to do just as I knew how to do it. Where are these resources coming from? How we were putting it together. And our performance just went through the roof. We had great performance.
because the body, everything is,
Everybody.
It was more so a
right.
partnership instead of
And
competition.
but that worked me out of a job piece, I still didn't understand till later when he came back to me and told me I was ready for a promotion. How are you going to get promoted if you're in that same spot all the time doing the same thing? Why don't you go ahead and prepare somebody else to be where you are so you can either move on or retire?
Preparing the next person for this position prepares you for your next position.
Absolutely. Because the way they explained it, they said, if you can train everyone to know everything that you know, now you're ready to train that other smaller group to train that management staff. And that's how it should go. So, and I look at that even in government. We need to start training. Where is our junior elected official training to start training our youth in what these government entities do, what our responsibilities are? How do they step into that role and understand to run a real cohesive government system so we understand what we're doing? The answer isn't, you don't understand what I'm doing. Right, I don't. Do you? Explain it.
Right.
Teach us.
Right.
Teach someone. This is a community of, what do they say? College City. Education will then train somebody. Teach somebody. So we can all teach each other. So we know something. So we should be able to come in here with different mindsets and maybe disagree. But when we leave, we have a better understanding of how something should function.
Right.
Walk out the door with it being done.
Hey,
Leave with more knowledge than we came.
Absolutely.
we can keep going. We can keep going. But I don't know, like what you just said and how you just did it was like perfect. It's perfect. It could be, but at the same time, you have different things going on, so we're gonna have to get you for episode 2, maybe
Yes,
3.
I would love to do a series.
Yeah.
So we could talk about different segments of what could be done, how we can do it, and how we can partner.
Right.
Because I have a ton of people that want to come in this community to help lift us up to a certain level. And you will be surprised because different industry, whether it be aviation, technology. As a matter of fact, there's a gentleman, he was in charge of all of the information systems in the city of New York, and he told me, just let me know when. I hop on a plane, I come, I'm retired now. I want to help in your area, in your community. And he's a board member at Marion Military Institute. And so when we have people volunteering, one thing about it, if a person volunteers and they're sincere, I'm gonna take them up on it. You know, so we don't pass on knowledge. Let's bring them all in. So we'll do another series. But there's a lot that we could cover. And we're gonna bring more people in.
Yeah, I like
All right.
that. I like that.
Good.
I like that. This has been the Black Hole, what we call it, Trap. We presents
All right.
the people's voice.
The people's voice. Well,
Yeah.
I'm one of the people.
You one of the people.
All right.
You one of my people.
All right. All right.